Let's take a step back to 1985. That's right, we're jamming on our Haro Freestyler, but there is one problem. We don't have any sounds going, no music. So we have this DAT catalog from early fall of 1985, and we see they have a $69 high-speed dubbing cassette radio, or aka boombox. Now, if we compare that to today's price, that's around $210 in 2026 money, and it's from a company called Emerson. Now, this is not a brand that you would go out and brag to your friends that, hey, I have an Emerson boombox or anything, but hey, money was hard, so we had to go where we could actually afford something. Of course, we all wanted the JVC boomboxes, the Sharps, the really big ones, such as the one I'm showing here. Very cool back in the day, but also very expensive, over $200 back then, which equates to quite a bit more today. As you can see, some of these listings on eBay, anywhere between $1,000 and $3,000, depending on which model. They can get insanely expensive. Now, a sidebar, Bumpbox is bringing back a retro style boombox. We'll try to get our hands on one of those in the future. Now, the 80s kids lived at Kmart pretty much for everything. Unfortunately for clothes in some instances, a lot of stuff around the house. But yes, electronics as well. They had pretty cool electronics section, and I enjoyed visiting my Kmart, even though it did not look like this. This is an AI generated image. Sorry about that. But blue light specials were prevalent, and that was real. You could get things on sale, and that's how we ended up getting this boombox. Now, this one I did purchase years later, actually just recently, but it's amazing the condition this one came in. So let's unbox it and take a closer look at what we have. The Emerson CTR949 portable boombox with dual cassettes for recording from cassette to cassette, recording off the radio, even had high-speed dubbing, a lot of cool features. This is the exact model that I had back in the day. Now, these had 4-inch stereo full-range drivers on the front. Also, it had dual cassette decks, as I said before, with high-speed dubbing capability, a very fancy function. Also, a manual AM/FM tuner. Did not like the manual tuning, but back then digital tuning was not an option in the early 80s. But yeah, this one again, condition is superb, but let's talk about some of the other features. The manual switch allowed you to go from FM to AM to tape or to phono. We'll get to the phono here shortly. Also a nice volume knob. Thank you for the knob. Balance control. And as we move further down, there are additional controls, including tone, low to high, and also a mic mixing function. Plug in your 1/8 inch mic jack and jam out, and a headphone jack if you want to listen to things privately. And it's been well known for eternity, the best way to find out how good a cassette deck is when you push the eject button. The slower the door opens, the more fancy the unit. Now, unfortunately, this one actually goes kind of slow, but it is not fancy. Far from it. Made in Korea back in the day, obviously, cost savings were the primary function of a unit like this from Emerson. The tape counter allowed you to keep up with your timing. Also, the dubbing, go from A to B. High-speed dubbing and continuous play buttons are all there available. You have to remember, back in the day, we didn't have Amazon reviews to be able to compare products. We didn't have YouTube. We literally just had ads and we had specs. Now, if you take a look at all the features that were available for this particular unit for the price, Emerson definitely knocked it out of the park. So again, this one is in superb condition to be its age, 40 years old. So I did decide to clean it up. But before we get to more of the cleaning part and actually looking inside the unit, let's go ahead and turn around to the back so we can see what else we have here. There are a few jacks on the back, including 2 RCA jacks, and these are labeled phono. Now, unfortunately, these are not line level inputs. These are phono for a record player with a ceramic cartridge. That's right, you can't unfortunately hook up your CD player or anything like that because these are impedance matched for the ceramic tone cartridge in a record player. There are also 2 3.5 millimeter microphone jacks for your external microphone. That's right, plug in your 2 favorite dynamic mics and jam with your friends. There's also a switch called OSC. Not sure what OSC stands for, but it is to reduce or eliminate background noise or whistle when recording from the AM band. In addition to working with the standard wall outlet in the US via 120 volts, this also is capable of being powered by 6 D-cell batteries for 9 volts of input. This one was a little bit dirty here on the connections, but we're not worrying about that because we're not going to ever use D-cell batteries in this unit. I may modify it in the future, however, to run off of a rechargeable battery. Now, since I wasn't exactly sure how to take this apart, I did want to get one of these magnetic dry erase boards so I could actually draw a picture of what the back of the unit looks like and then put the screws here in a particular place. That way, when I put it back together, I make sure to get the correct screws in the right place. Now, it turns out that all the screws were the same length except for the one where the phono jacks are, but you don't have to take that one out to just get the front of the unit apart. And it wasn't important in this case because all the screws were the same length. But it is important to, have something like this. If you are working on electronics, it keeps all your screws in the correct place. It is nice. I will leave a link in the description below if you want to pick up one of these for taking apart your boombox. It's very helpful. Here I will show you what it looks like here on the magnetic dry erase board. That way you have all the screws in the correct place where they come out. Now, a lot of these units will have different size screws. Of course, there was one different size on there. It's the one by the phono jacks, but you did not need to take that one out to get the front face off. But you do have to open up the cassette decks, as I found out here. And then I got it open and it could pull the front panel completely off of this unit. And again, the condition of this thing is just outstanding for it to be the age that it is. Because I know we beat ours up after just a year or two. And this thing is 40 years old and looks like it just came off the shelf. So very nice. There's the front, and here we can see all the rat's nest of wiring and the dual cassettes and the speakers and everything else. If you guys are anything like me, you like to see what makes things tick. In this case, the electronics of this are pretty interesting. There was an idler tire there that you saw that broke from one of the cassette wells, and we'll get into that later. But I'll do a flyover here so you can see there's two circuit boards here that run in kind of vertically beside each other, which makes it a little bit more difficult to get to those. And we'll talk about that later once I actually open it up. But I did decide to clean it off, here using my paintbrush to go ahead and brush off some of the dust. And what I'm going to do is going to put the front face in the sink, go ahead and fill it up here and put some Dawn in the sink, and we're going to wash it and make it all nice and clean. So I'll come back once that's done. After cleaning off the unit, I decided to get out the compressed air and go ahead and dry it off best as possible. And I left it outside so that it could air dry as well. Now let's get back to the other part of the boombox. And again, we've already shown this before. We'll do another flyover here and see those dual cassette deck wells. And here are the speakers. These are 4-inch speakers. And these are 8 ohms and 2 watts. That's right, 2 watts of power. Crazy. The SP1337s. And here is the measurement there, 4 inches. That is the outer dimensions of the speaker. 7.9 ohms measured here with the fluke. And again, here's some of the other parts. You can see the LEDs there, the tape counter, and also here's the potentiometer for some of the controls, and a bunch of little small capacitors, and all kind of scary stuff with the wiring. And unfortunately, nothing is plugged in. I'll talk about that again. There's a little bit of a leftover tape here, somebody's favorite mixtape probably, left inside my unit. Sorry about that. Now some of the belts were still intact, and of course the one here for the counter was working, but it was loose. I could tell it definitely needed to be replaced. So I played around with some of the other functions. I'm going to let you guys hear when I push play the noise that the unit makes. So both of the cassette decks had the same issue with the noise when you hit play, and of course it was missing the idler tire. We saw that when we opened up the unit. Also the belt that operate the play function appear to be missing as well. So for me, Having tape playback is not important because I personally don't like cassette tapes, especially on units like this where the quality is so low of these units. You're really not going to get any good sound anyway, so it'd be better to have Bluetooth and MP3, and that's the way we're going to go. But I just thought I wanted to show all this for you guys who might want to see it, or if you have one of these units, you might want to see it. In order to add the Bluetooth or auxiliary input I wanted to add to this retro boombox, problem is, looks like this manual tuning wheel concoction has to come off because it is actually attached to one of the circuit boards. I don't know if this is the one that's got the module on it that I need to wire to, or if this one here does, but I believe I have to take this out, and I think this whole mechanism, because right now it seems like it's loose enough that it will come out, but I've never dealt with these wire manual tuners here, and if I take it out, I'm afraid it's not going to line up when I put it back together. But I mean, sometimes you just got to learn by trying, right? That's what we're going to do, I guess. Here's the back side of cassette well number 2, which has the record function as well. And you can see the motor here. This is by the company Sankyo, and there's the additional model number and everything on there in case you wanted to see that. But again, here I'm not focusing on the cassette well. Let's move to further dissection.
One eternity later.
So what a mess I have here, and I'll be honest, I'm not really sure why I'm doing all this, taking it out, because I do have a solution to get Bluetooth by using the FM transmitter. But I'm just curious, and I just want to get this whole board out, see if I can find the preamp to be able to wire it in. But there was a clip right here that was holding this board in, and I just found it because I was trying to figure out how this came out. So I'm going to attempt at this point to go ahead, and as you can see, I've got the bottom tape deck here, the top tape deck here, moved out of the way. And it looks like this whole mechanism I was afraid of is all in one piece. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it out the best I can and see what I have, and see if there's an easier way to wire in the Bluetooth to, I believe it's this chip. Let's see if I can get one. I believe it is right here. But again, once I get it out, I'll be able to tell for sure. So cross fingers. The way they've designed this, nothing is on Molex plugs. Everything is, and not even soldered. It's like they have the wires just wrapped. Probably had some kind of a tool to do that, to wrap the wires around like a stud that comes through the board. Looks like they've done that with most of the wiring connections. Look at that. I know that that's something that used to be done, but it is prevalent here. The problem is I can't really separate the two boards easily, and if I'm going to get to what I want to get to, which I'm going to have to again check, I think it's this one is the preamp. Let me get a little closer so you can see. I think it's this one, this LA 1260. Turns out this is the FM AM modulation linear IC. So this is not what I thought it was, the preamp module, but I did put up the data sheet here so you can see it better. I will check. I think this one is the amplifier module down here, and that one is the LA4183 2-channel power amp. That's right, 2.3 watts at 4 ohms. These are 8 ohm speakers, so a little over a watt per channel. Yeah, lots of little caps too. I'm sure a lot of these are probably bad. Not up for the recap job of that. Again, this is a cheap cassette deck. I've probably gone way too far already. But I did just kind of want to dive into it to find out how hard it would be to add that internal Bluetooth module. And it looks like, you know, I might just put it back together and just use this. It'll fit right in the back. I could Velcro it if I want to. This is rechargeable. Whenever I want to use Bluetooth, just use this and not worry about the cassette decks. They need to be repaired too, but I don't use tape, so I think that's what I'm going to do. Just going to put it back together. So that's exactly what I did. And this Scosche FM transmitter, we'll leave a link below, and I did test this in a previous video, but I'll leave a link if you want to pick one of these up. It is rechargeable, works as an FM transmitter, works as a receiver, and other functions too. And again, it's got a built-in battery, pretty cool, very easy to hook up. Just find a blank radio band in your area, hook it up, and let's try it and see how it works.
Turn it up, let it pound, let it grow. Spark-o-matic sound, make the block blow. Baseline heavy, speaker steady. Rides equipped and my vibes ready.
There is a little noise in the background, but I'm not convinced it was the FM signal. It could have been just the dirty sound of the amp.
Roll the windows down. Yeah, sun hitting that dash, just ride. 96 in the deck, let it ride, let it ride.
Got that Alpine glow, green lights on the face. Sony in the trunk, whole block feel the bass. Sound stream, amps hum, chrome logo gleam. Kicker cones flex, make the rear view lean. Orion on the rack, wise braided in gold. Urban audio caps keep the voltage cold. Rock with dark shake, neighbors know my route. Precision power pushing every watt out. System bumping 1996. CD change.
Okay, let's be honest. It's not going to win any sound quality competitions, but what do we expect? It's a 40-year-old boombox with very limited speakers built into it. Not too bad. What do you think?
Yo, crank it up, man. The bass don't stutter. Yo, crank it up, man. The bass don't stutter. Rise powered by the MTX Blue Thunder. 300 watts, yeah, the streets gon' quake. Matech Orion, man, they don't make mistakes. Blue in the dye, shining cold like frostbite. Amp so clean, make the subs ignite. Bipolar transistors, Thunder EQ.
You guys let me know below what boombox you used back in the 80s. Did you have a baller brand like a JVC, Panasonic, or Sony, or Sharp? Or did you rock one of the budget brands like I did? Let me know below. Thanks always for watching. Until next time, Big D. I'm out of here.
Sing rare like a unicorn, sound so divine. Low distortion flexing on your Alpine. Try mode settings, I'm a wizard with the fader. Current sensing tech, yeah, I'm an innovator made in USA. Straight out of the lab, back when amps had pride, now they also drab.